What's up, Lorehounds? It's Koopa inside the Twitch TV booth. We're here checking out Vainglory with Bo and Stefan. So you guys actually launched already, but we're talking about a MOBA on a tablet or an iPhone.
Yes.
So
on a tablet or an iPhone.
Immediately, I think it's going to come to everyone's mind, controls. How did you guys manage to get a MOBA, it's 3v3 right now, onto a tablet and not just blow people's mind with frustration?
So we all appreciate the skepticism, and we understand that when you first hear it, it sounds like this has to be a casual experience. This cannot possibly work, and the reality is, it actually does. It took us a little while to crack the case, but we started working on the control scheme for the MOBA immediately. The way that that Vainglory works on mobile is everything is a tap. We know as hardcore gamers that input is king. You have to have very fast and very precise input for a game to really allow skill to be expressed. So everything is done as quickly as humanly possible on a touch device. Everything is a tap. You tap to move, you tap to attack your enemies. You can keep your finger on the minimap to move around and slide to see where things are, but overall a tap is the fastest thing. So when you think about how the input is, think about it like typing on a keyboard. How fast can you type? If you can type pretty fast, you can play Vainglory incredibly quickly. The APM limit is very high.
So as far as the heroes go, and skill shots and things of that nature, how did the control fit in there? Is it like that tappy where you just aim, tap to aim?
So it varies per hero, and it depends on the ability. So some heroes are pre-target, meaning that they'll execute their ability when you tap the icon against whomever their current target is. So if you were to select an enemy because you're doing some basic attacks against the enemy, you tap their icon, they immediately just execute that ability against that hero, which means that it's as fast as you can just tap a square. For heroes that have to choose an enemy that's nearby, they'll end up creating a little ring around them, and you tap an enemy in the ring. So it's, again, a single tap. It's once to activate the ability and once more to pick a target inside of the ring. For skill shots, it works the same way. You end up with a ring that gives you the range of a skill shot, and a single tap will send that projectile towards that location that you tapped.
So okay, so you would tap inside the ring, and then hopefully the guy's standing where you just tapped.
Or yeah, and it turns out to be incredibly intuitive. Like, it sounds like it would seem odd, and at first you don't get that. If you're used to PC MOBAs and you often are given sort of this like dragging line that's attached to your mouse cursor where you can see where your projectile is going to go, you miss that feeling of a dragging line. But you already, because of the way that the tablet ends up showing the space out of the heroes, it ends up being just as intuitive to just tap directly on them or in front of them or someplace within that ring, and you can predict, like a pool shot, you can predict exactly where they're going to be and hit them with a skill shot in the exact same way.
And I think one of the key unique features you guys have, aside from being really well polished on an iPad here, is the objectives. The way you guys use objective is completely different than I've seen in most MOBAs. So can you elaborate on where that came about?
Yeah, I mean, so we really had to basically start from ground zero in terms of how we wanted to build the game and what we wanted the anatomy to be. So with a 3v3 MOBA, which was an early decision that we made in order to sort of reduce queue times and make it fit more kind of around a table play, which is something that we really enjoy. So starting off with that, basically that dictated a lot of how the map would have to lay out, and so we ended up going with a single lane map with a jungle underneath. And so we have a couple of different objectives in the jungle. There's a minion mine, so these are minions that spawn about 45 seconds in the game and start basically mining crystal. By capturing and holding the minion mine, you're able to actually increase the power of your lane minions. So think of them as inhibitors, similar, that just happen to live outside of the base. So they're constantly there for the taking and kind of fighting over. Similar mechanic, we have a gold miner in the very center of the map, which over time will essentially pay out to the team that holds it, and again kind of cause these team fights to happen and give players a reason to actually break out of lane, and at the 4-minute mark when that thing's getting ready to pay out, like, there's a reason to fight and we're going to go at it.
I do want to talk about the community a little bit. So you guys launched in different areas of the world in October and November, correct? So you have seen some growth in the community and all that for sure, but what about like downloads or stickiness of the game? Like, are you seeing people just slave away at it for hours on end?
So I think I think it is amazing watching this sort of expand and grow. It's almost like dropping a match to start a forest fire. You just don't expect, and then suddenly you're overwhelmed. You're just like, okay, this is going to start off pretty slow, and then it turns out to not. Average playtime for our players is 75 minutes, which is really, really high. So people are really engaged with the game. Our engagement numbers are amazing. We have 25,000 posts in our forums that are like, we try to be as present in our forums as we can. We really like interfacing and directly talking with all the players of the game. But even now, it's a tsunami of attention, and we're trying to be everywhere at once, and it's fascinating watching this happen. We also, even things like esports and tournaments, we felt like that would be something we would grow the product into. Esports is something that the player community tells you when you're ready. They get to tell you that this game is viable. You don't get to declare yourself an esport until they kind of give you that signal. That signal flare kind of is already firing up. The player community immediately was like, tournaments should be there right now, and we were just like, oh my goodness. And so they've been organizing them themselves and just been asking us to participate. I mean, that train is moving from the station with or without us in a way. So it started out with a tiny little puppy, and then it turned into a 300-pound Saint Bernard, and we're hanging onto the leash and just trying to keep up, and it's awesome.
All right, Lorehound, step into the world of Vainglory right now. Free to play. Go get it. It's on the shop. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.